The NFL. Because as Pete always says, the NFL, there is no off season.
Nope.
There really isn't. And I tell you what, Pete, as exciting as that St. Louis Winnipeg Jets hockey game was that we highlighted yesterday, the NFL is just killing it with ratings.
Yeah. Well, and the ratings aren't even just for the games. That's the huge part about this whole thing. And that's where I'm going with this one, John. The NFL was just at Lambeau Field, John, historic Lambeau Field, packed the place, put 600,000 people there. And by the way, that money that gets moved around, and we talked about it with Colorado, and that's why Deion Sanders is worth what he gets. But the year before it was in Detroit, $213 million came into Detroit, John, when they decided to be the host for the NFL draft. Now, that was last year. This year, obviously, it's Green Bay. But I think the important part is next year it's Pittsburgh. But how about the fact that the NFL is going to Washington? I think that's absolutely incredible, and it's going to be great. And you know what they're going to do, John, is they're going to be out there on the National Mall, and I think that's going to be something that everybody gets excited about. I've already seen some mock-ups of what it would look like. Looks absolutely incredible. And by the way, the estimates, they're looking for about 1 million people to show up. So I don't think that's actually any kind of a stretch either. I think the NFL has that much power. I mean, there's 600,000 there in Green Bay. You have 750,000 were in Detroit. I just wonder right now, Pittsburgh, I think, is going to have to bite off something pretty big to get anything close to these numbers, John. And I think they can. I think if they do it in the right spot and everything, they can get it done. But I think being up there on the National Mall, that's going to be absolutely killer for the NFL draft.
Well, and once again, Pete, like you and I have said for several years, the top 94 rated shows every year for the last 3 or 4 years at least has been either NFL or NCAA football.
Right.
It crushes everything. And they got 13.6 million people tuned into the draft this year, the first round. They averaged 7.5 million. That blows away Major League Baseball and the NBA, Pete, especially on an individual game basis. It blows them both away combined.
Yeah.
And then I was reading in the New Yorker that they said, yeah, but it's boring. Well, that's your opinion, I guess, because I don't think 13.6 million people tune in to get bored.
I think you're right about that. By the way, you know what else isn't boring? So when we had the Olympics, who really stood out for us there? I'm going to say it right here. Snoop Dogg. He was everywhere, right? You know who else is everywhere? And this goes back to the NFL. Jon Gruden. This guy, John, shows up at every training camp. He's become a consultant. He walks around. He got, pushed out of the Las Vegas Raiders. Unfortunately, there's some issues there. And so the NFL made the decision, hey, something has to change. And he stepped down. But he's still the Mr. NFL. I mean, this guy is absolutely everywhere. He seems like he shows up to every camp that somebody's putting on anywhere in the NFL. But here's the cool part. He decided to buy a franchise, John, or at least be a partner in a franchise, but it's not in the NFL. He decided to be in Arena Football One league. They're called Arena Football One, and it's that league. And it's pretty interesting. It's something that I know that his brother played in that because I actually roommated with his brother at one point in time when I was playing. He came from Arena Football. He was playing in the World Football League that I was playing in. I'll tell you what, unbelievable how John has been able to lift himself up, because for a while there, John, he was a guy that was like, hey, I'm not sure this is a good time yet. Now, he's kind of the face of the NFL. This guy's bouncing around and sitting in different meeting rooms and everything else, and he gets up there. He always has great speeches and everything that he does. I think it's pretty cool, but what do you think about the Arena Football? I actually had to look it up because I didn't even know Arena Football still existed, John. I haven't seen it in a long time. So it woke me up, and he's part of the Nashville Cats. So that's where he's bought into it. Pretty interesting, pretty fun. He's pretty excited about that. And they had a big press release about that as well. So it's kind of cool to see Jon Gruden still back and he's still doing stuff.
Well, what I love to see, Pete, is when you see Gruden standing there with these quarterbacks because he took I think he called it Gruden's QB class or something like that. He took these 6 quarterbacks and, Jackson Dart, of course, Will Howard, all these guys, even the guy from Memphis, Pete, who I really hadn't seen play this year, but he was really high on that guy.
Yep.
So he's kind of turned himself into a little bit of a quarterback whisperer in the way that he asks some questions and then he breaks it down as far as what they should be thinking about when they see this kind of defense and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, in particular, these players love him, Pete.
Yeah.
We can call him Chucky all we want, but and he looks like the little sucker, which is partly where that comes from. The other part is that he's, out there.
Yeah.
But he is great. And I really enjoy watching and listening to him because as much as you and I watch football, I always learn something when Jon Gruden's talking about stuff.
Yep. He's a special guy. He's a fun guy. He did some things that he shouldn't have done, but I think in the big picture of things, he's done a great job. And that's why these teams want him to show up because he's kind of entertaining too, right?
Right. Well, and I'll defend him. Not that you're trying to accuse him of anything, Pete, but I'll defend him in that the NFL leaked some emails that were internal with him. And then basically, that's a violation of all kinds of things. Yeah. Now, did the Raiders give them those? Did they somehow get them through another channel? I can't remember if that's even been settled yet, Pete, but I know he had about $100 million suit because of that. And like you said, that's why he lost his job with the Raiders. They paid him a fortune and then, it was gone. But they did the same thing with the next coach.
Yeah.
They paid that guy. And where is that guy now, Pete? Probably on a beach someplace because they gave him $100 million too. I'm sure Brady is not out there saying, yeah, let's give the next guy $100 million.
No, I think you're right about that. I'll tell you what, Brady's one of the sharper guys that we've seen coming out of the NFL in a long time. That's for sure.
Yeah, he has invested wisely, especially in watches.